good. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our school committee meeting to order. Today is May 24th, 2022, and we are starting our meeting tonight at 7:09 p.m. Hope everybody is doing well. I wanted to state that our meeting, as always, is being broadcast live on Peabody Access Telecommunications, PAT. Our minutes are being recorded by our recording secretary, Leanna Harris, and we are being broadcast where, as always, those that would like to weigh in during public participation, please raise your hand and we can bring you in through the Facebook platform when we get to that item on the agenda. I'd like to start our meeting with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to dedicate this moment of silence. You may have heard a terrible tragedy, a fellow school system, a fellow city in our nation. In Uvalde, Texas, there was a school shooting, and I'd ask you to keep that community and those families in your prayers during this moment of silence. So if everybody could please stand. Thank you, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a pretty exciting agenda tonight. Going to be turning it over to some students shortly. There are a couple of items I wanted to go to first. The minutes, we have 2 minutes from the regular school committee meeting of May 10th and our public hearing on our 2023 budget of May 17th. I'd open that up for approval. Mrs. Dunn?
Motion to receive and approve the minutes of the regular school committee.
Okay, thank you. You've heard the motion by Mrs. Dunn, seconded by Mr. Swanson, to approve the regular school committee meeting minutes of May 10th, 2022. No comment on on that motion. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Olympio?
Yes.
Mrs. Carpenter? Mr. Amico?
Yes.
Mr. Hockman? Yes. Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Thank you. And we have the budget minutes from the public hearing on May 17, 2022. Mrs. Dunn?
Motion to receive and accept the minutes of the budget meeting of May 17th and the public hearing.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. You've heard the motion, seconded by Mr. Swanson. Any comment? None at this time. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Olympio?
Yes.
Mrs. Carpenter? Mr. Amico?
Yes.
Mr. Hockman? Yes. Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to go to item 3, approval of bills. We have a couple of warrants I'd like to address. Mr. Olympio?
I'd like to make a motion to approve warrant number 5039 in the amount of $39,485.14, dated May 24th, 2022, subject to audit.
Second.
Thank you. You've heard the motion for approval of warrant number 5039, made by Mr. Olympio, seconded by Mr. Amico. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Olympio?
Yes.
Mrs. Carpenter? Mr. Amico?
Yes.
Mr. Hockman? Yes. Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve warrant number 5040 in the amount of $1,444,102.98, dated May 24th, 2022, subject to audit.
Thank you. You've heard the motion.
Second.
You've heard the motion by Mr. Olympio, seconded by Mr. Amico, for approval of warrant number 5040. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Olympio?
Yes.
Mrs. Carpenter? Mr. Amico?
Yes.
Mr. Hockman? Yes. Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
All right, excellent. And if there's no objection, I'd like to move right now to our superintendent's report, item number 5. We have some students here and some wonderful things to discuss. So if there's no objection, I'd like to move to item number 5 and turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Josh Vidala.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight's a very exciting night. We're able to honor one of our students. So I just wanted to inform the committee and the general public that on May 11th, one of our students in the field house had a medical event after school. And due to the quick thinking and expertise of one of our juniors, who happens to be on the track team and is a student in our medical assisting program, Trinity Cabrera. She jumped right in. She was able to stabilize the student and maintain the vital signs and really put in all of her expertise that she has learned and the skills that she has learned in the CTE program for medical assisting, and really keep the student stable until EMS arrived. So we just couldn't be more proud of Trinity, of our medical assisting program, and of all of our students and staff for being able to really just jump into action. So Trinity's really a hero. We wanted to give her a citation tonight. So we have tonight, just to give a little bit of background, I have Marcus Vieira, who's one of our track coaches and our educational stability liaison, who was present and was able to witness the heroic act. We have our medical assisting staff, so I'd like to call them up just to give us a little background on some of the things that Trinity learned. And of course, we have Trinity and her family here, so we'd love to hear from her as well. So Marcus and Ms. Spinoza, Trinity, please come on up. So Marcus, if you could just give us a quick recap, and then maybe Ms. Spinoza can give us a little overview of what Trinity has learned, and then we'll give Trinity the floor, but we'll let it get warmed up for her.
Okay. On May 11th, there was some odd of 130 students within the gymnasium at Peabody Veterans Memorial High School. We were preparing to leave for Masconomet High School for a track and field meet. A sudden thud and a bunch of kids started screaming help. Me and another teacher were able to run over and see that there was a student down having a seizure. In those moments, we didn't know what happened, if it was random or if it was concussion-induced, which later on we found out it was. And I assessed, as I was about ready to turn around, I see Trinity Cabrera come over. She said, "Coach, I got this, don't worry about it." And I started turning, and for some reason, I believed her because she went up, approached correctly, wasn't reckless like some of the other students, and I believed in Trinity, who is my athlete. I run over to go get our trainer. As I'm clearing the way, we come back, and Trinity had a list of things that she saw, what she did. She had the time kept, how she propped the body, how she approached, how she was handling the situation. When the student became verbal, she told us. I personally thought she looked like a seasoned responder, doing everything in her power to help this student. It was amazing to see. As a coach, I was beyond proud, and I'm blushing right now just talking about it. Later, the first responders came. Trinity gave the time, everything she saw, and once again, they were in awe as well. And later, we found out the student was better. Trinity ended up competing after that and had a great day. So not only did she perform under pressure, she did it 2 hours later in front of all of her teammates again, and it was simply amazing.
So Ms. Spinoza, can you give a little background on the medical assisting program and the type of skills that Trinity learns in class?
Oh, I could be here for hours with that. So how about if I just focus on the first aid stuff, right? So we actually just finished our CPR first aid section of the course. All the students, when we go through each scenario, it's not just like a K through 12 first aid. We actually do a first responder. I actually took the course from an EMT program. One of the firefighters, and actually Barika, actually teaches it with me. So the two of us ended up forming this program, and then we gave it back to the students. And one of the pieces was on seizures, on how to treat seizures and why do seizures happen. And one of the big things was a head injury can turn into a seizure, can turn into shock, can turn into the next piece. And when the kids practice this, they're given a scenario base. They actually have to call 911. The other individual is another student who is the 911 operator. They have to go through sample questions, like an EMT question, to gather information and then give back that treatment for the student to perform. And I want to say, Trinity, you had this scenario. Didn't you have this scenario? So when she had the same scenario where a head injury was involved that you just practiced the week before, correct? So it was just, ironic, so ironic. It was wonderful. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, tell us what you did.
So basically, what my coach said, everybody was in a panic, so I automatically ran over to help. Then I saw that my fellow classmate was seizing. Then I took my knowledge from Miss Spinoza, and I immediately started timing. Then I assessed his head. I turned him to his side just in case any bodily fluid decided to emerge. And then I was also assessing the coaches on what to do because they didn't really know what to do. So I was making sure the scene was safe. I was making sure my peers were safe, and my fellow classmate was safe. And then I basically did the steps, what you're supposed to do when you see someone seizing. You time it, you turn them to their side, you hold their head or put something under their head, and then you basically wait for them to stop seizing. And that's what I did until EMS arrived.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Trinity. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
And, you know, when these things happen, it is a sense of chaos, and people get nervous, and people get scared. And for you to jump right in and stay calm, I think you really calmed everyone down, including the adults. So we wanted to thank you and the mayor, and we just wanted to, on behalf of the school department and the city, just thank you for the wonderful work that you've done, and to give you a citation. And so I'll turn it over to Mayor Betancourt.
Well, Trinity, that's an amazing story. I loved hearing that. I've got to know you a little bit over the years, got to watch you. You're an amazing young lady and a terrific student athlete who represents our community well, and you brought great pride to our city. So we have a little citation. It's a citation of community recognition that I wanted to present to you. And in recognition of your quick and decisive action on May 11, 2022, assisting a fellow student suffering a medical emergency, you demonstrated life-saving skills, care, and comfort for the victim, and reassurance to your fellow classmates. On behalf of the City of Peabody, please accept our appreciation and admiration for your courageous act of heroism, and that's signed by myself as Mayor of the City of Peabody and our Superintendent, Dr. Josh Vidala. So. Oh, yeah, whatever you think best. All right. Wonderful. So turn it back over to our school superintendent, Dr. Vidala.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the next item is our Student Advisory Council. So tonight we have Jackie Scopa and Ryan McGrath here, and I'd like to call them up along with Miss Amanda Prouty to give a little report based on the happenings at Peabody High School.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for once again welcoming us back. I'm joined by Mr. Ryan McGrath again, finally, this time. We're happy to be here again to share the ongoings for the end of this school year.
So tonight we're going to talk about our highlights this year and just looking into next year and what we have planned and some items to address.
So yesterday was the last day for seniors, including myself. We all had an amazing time, got to walk around and hand some of our teachers and administrators our senior pictures, give them our little goodbye messages, which was a really, very much a core memory. And our senior week is next week, so we have the luau or barbecue along with the viewing of our senior video, prom, convocation, and graduation all in the same week, and I'm very, very excited to experience that.
Our OTC had its change of command recently. I'm stepping down personally due to personal issues with next year's classes, but it went off with a hitch. Everyone did great, and people got the awards they deserved, and it was amazing.
And we have our spring show and spring concert that were both huge successes. I know many students who were involved in those, and everyone had an amazing time, and the students who went to see the shows and concert all said that it was amazingly put together, and I'm very proud of everyone, including my seniors.
So MCAS is 2/3 of the way done. We have our freshman math MCAS still needing to be done. Bar Foundation has groups to continue to work and meet for some experimentation and working on the school. For spring sports, they're wrapping up. Track and other sports, I know their last meets are soon. And for the future student council elections are coming up. Yeah.
So looking ahead into next year, they're planning to increase ideas for school spirit, which has been kind of a heavy weight this year coming back from COVID, so really trying to get school spirit up. Hosting a semifinal and continuing advocacy work. Semi-formal, yeah, sorry. And keep going with what we started this year, kind of trying to change some traditions that, COVID cut off, but kind of a blessing in disguise, changing a few things around. And maximize fundraising by planning ahead. I know the freshman class officers are already trying to get that semi-formal started for next year. And using student voice to really affect positive change as was started this year.
So we have two things to address. It is our bathroom and petition for feminine hygiene products from the Feminist Club. Should I start with that? So for the bathrooms, a lot of students say they're uncomfortable in the bathrooms, whether it be public or in the gender neutral bathrooms. These problems are announced because most of them are locked, whether it's in the second floor or in certain places. It's a very inconsistent bathroom schedule. And generally there's trash bags over the toilets. In some cases there's dried tissue all over the walls, whether it's thrown or placed. And overall it's a safety hazard, and I feel like it needs to be changed.
And just to add about the bathrooms and simple issues like toilet paper stocking and paper towel stocking just not being kept up with, or soap, especially they're old buildings, they're ghost bathrooms, and that's always going to happen, but to have these simple things we think is a little bit more tangible and very easily changed. And then the second thing we wanted to address was from the Feminist Club, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but they've started a petition for keeping feminine hygiene products in the bathrooms, and have gotten over hundreds of students to sign this petition, saying that the process to get these products is time-consuming, personally embarrassing at times, and even difficult to access. We're in a 3-story building, going all the way down to the nurse to get something that should be very, very simple. It's just inconvenient at times, and it should be something that's kind of kept into the same budget as toilet paper, and it's a very simple change, and we think that keeping products like these in the bathrooms could be a very great change and kind of advocate for, half the student population that's kind of being disregarded in that.
So Ryan and Jackie, thank you so much. I fully support these two items that you wanted to address. The packet from the Feminist Club was excellent, had a lot of supporting details in it. I did add to the school committee's packet, and I created this slide just to show our support for the work that you're doing. House Bill 565 is an act concerning feminine hygiene products in schools. It went into effect on August 1st, 2020. And basically, one of the key elements is that all elementary and secondary schools in the Commonwealth serving any student in grades 6 through 12 shall provide feminine hygiene products in restrooms of such buildings. And so we did a little research here with our health department, and we have kids going to the nurses at all 3 levels in search of these products. And so since September, we've had over 1,400 visits to the nurse in order to get these products. 560 at the high school, 784 at the Higgins, and 102 at the elementary schools. So we did look into this. We do have feminine products stocked, but they are at the nurse's office, which is, I know you've mentioned, is difficult, and especially in a building that big. So we have talked to the nurses and to our facilities department, and we will be addressing this. So I really appreciate you bringing this forward, because this is a very important issue for many of our students, and not just students that signed it. There are many teachers that signed it as well. So we've heard you loud and clear, and I wanted to show our full support for this, and we will be addressing this as soon as possible.
Well, Ryan, Jackie, thank you both. Excellent report. You both spoke extremely well. Knowing you both, that didn't surprise me at all. You've done this before. This is, again, I just want to reiterate, this is extremely important for us to hear from you, hear your perspective. We had a budget meeting last Tuesday, and we got some important information from some teachers and things about the high school and the bathrooms and just the conditions of some of the areas. So to hear you speak to this is extremely important. I know right away the next morning we were having meetings and discussing it with the superintendent, who was right on top of this to make some repairs and to get some things done over there. So I really appreciate you bringing this forward. This is an important matter, and as Dr. Vidala said, we're taking it very serious, and we're going to make some changes to accommodate this and to make sure we're doing the right thing. So, but this really helps all of us to have you come and speak and tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly. So thank you both for being a part of this and being a part of the program now. And we wish you the best going forward. Any questions for our students or Ms. Prouty? Mr. Hockman.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for your work all year. It's always a pleasure watching you guys grow up in the new positions. You come here to feel so young, and as you get older, it's just nice to see. Thank you for the hard work that you put into this. It's not just appearing here, but doing a lot of work behind the scenes in the school. Mr. Mayor, I'm going to make a motion that we provide feminine hygiene products to all bathrooms in all schools. I'd say within, by the time we return from Memorial Day, Tuesday after Memorial Day, if possible, as quickly as we can. Maybe we move it out to September or August. I just want to make sure that all bathrooms in all schools, don't want to see us compiling for a while. I'm willing to go back to the beginning of the 22 school year for implementation.
Yeah, the only reason I was a little nervous just because there's certain containers and things that have to be ordered, or we don't have them all to do every bathroom. So I just want to make sure, but you're 100% right. I know we're hoping to get it done before the end of this school year, but with lead times and supply chain issues and all that type of stuff, it's been a little frustrating on that end. But this was important, and we're getting it done. So Mr. Hockman has made a motion, seconded by Mrs. Dunn. For discussion, Mrs. Dunn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I honestly do not believe we could possibly have it done by next Tuesday. I realistically believe that we have to have that done by the beginning of school in August. Do we know at this time how many dispensers we would need at each level? And one thing I'm really going to ask about is the high school. It doesn't surprise me that those dispensers are gone. They'd be 50 years old now anyway. I'm sure they fell off the walls years ago. But here at Higgins, it's a brand-new building. Do we have any dispensers here in the girls' bathrooms?
So the act went into effect in 2020, and I know the Higgins was built just prior to that. Mm-hmm. So we're working with our health department, our nurses, and our building principals to do an inventory and to get exactly how many we need at each level and at each building and the locations where they're going to be and which dispensers to order. So we're working on that right now. We hope to have that information collected by the end of the week and then really start to order the products and have an implementation plan so that this can be addressed immediately.
That's great, thank you. And one other question, on those orders, I know that, goodness, it took a long time just to get cabinets ordered for this building for the EpiPens. So there may be quite a time lag on that. But is this something you need an increase on a budget line that the school committee, because I know we will take a vote to do that.
I appreciate that. I do think that we have funding for this. It's just a matter of making sure we order the right products and that we get the work orders in right away. And I know we have the full support of the mayor and the maintenance department. I've talked to Jim Hafey about it. He's fully on board, and we're going to address this as soon as we can.
Okay,
And
thank
if
you.
I could just add to that, sorry. There are multiple nonprofit organizations at the Feminist Club listed that will help and give products for free to get you at least started, if not to continue the process as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Mr. Miko?
Thank you, through the chair, to the superintendent and our committee. In the meantime, while we get these ordered, these cabinets ordered or the dispensers ordered, can we have hygiene products possibly throughout the building? So a student, like as Ms. Scopa said, if you're up on the 3rd floor at the high school and you have to go all the way down to the nurse's office on the 1st floor, maybe we can have designated areas where students can go to, whether it's an administrative office or a dean or someone on each floor. I just think that would cut down on the travel in a case of an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Miko. Mr. Hockman?
Through you to Ms. Dunn, I know we're a little late in the design of the Welch school building.
Oh, no, this will come up, believe me, no problem. We can do it right now, so we will.
Great, thank you. Motion's been made. All in favor? That's a unanimous vote, thank you. Mr. Hockman?
Mr. Mayor, can we, I don't know if I want to do this in the form of a motion or just a request, can we get a report, an assessment of the toilets or the bathrooms at the high school by the end of June?
We're putting that together for you, actually.
Yes, Ms. Proudy is working with Mr. Magno and the students to do a full punch list. So we have all those work orders that we sent over. There's over 400 open work orders. So we are developing a punch list, and Ms. Proudy and the kids are doing an amazing job. We hope to have that done very soon and then be able to share that out at a school committee meeting so that we can work on all of those items and address them.
Great. And I'm going to take, Ms. Dunn, if I could just hold, I'm going to take this moment again. I spoke about it last week. But anybody interested in work for our city in terms of our maintenance departments, in terms of our facilities, custodians, we are getting to a crisis point where we're having difficulty finding people to work. I expect by next month with retirements that we're going to be down 12 to 13 custodians in the city. And on the maintenance side, in terms of our DPW and trades, we're going to be down potentially another 7. So this is the first time I've ever encountered this. I've been mayor now 11 years, that we are having difficulty hiring positions, hiring people. The jobs are there, the jobs are funded, and we are having extreme difficulty finding people for those positions. So anybody, anytime I have a microphone or an opportunity, I'm trying to get the word out. I'm going to be putting forward a lot of information on social media and the media in general to try to welcome and interest people in applying for these jobs. There are a number of jobs here in the city that are available, and it certainly has hurt our efforts. It's no excuse, but it is a factor in terms of getting some of the work we need done here in the city. We are behind significantly because of the fact that, or in part because of we do not have some bodies that we desperately need. So I want to take the opportunity, people interested, full-time, part-time, please reach out to our Human Resources Department at City Hall or even the school building office that may be interested, and we're very much open to bringing people on. So I wanted to take that moment. Mrs. Dunn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really do want to thank you for coming forward with this, with all of the information you brought up, not just all the great things that are happening, especially knowing Senior Week is coming. That's a great week. And I wish you all well with the elections for the Student Council and Student Advisory Board. One thing that I would like to say is you brought up the lack of supplies in the bathrooms and, of course, the conditions of the bathrooms. And I will say 3 years ago, there was a PTSO that had started up again. And it was a really interesting process because the students and the faculty and the parents who were on that spoke quite often about everything we're hearing about right now. Nothing has changed. As a matter of fact, pick up the punch list from 3 years ago and just add to it. Things are probably the same, if not worse. It really makes me frustrated to know that it's continued. It's not a new problem. It's exacerbated now because of the staffing issues, absolutely. But it's been a long-standing problem at the high school. We've got a faculty member in here who provided all the soap for the bathrooms in B House for years. It shouldn't happen. I don't want to see it happen again. And I want to make sure that we take care of it this time. When it gets to our level, it's bad. It's at our level. It's gone on for a long time. And we owe it to our staff and our students and our community to have a healthy building. And we don't. And we have to take care of this now. If it means making some policies, the Quality and Standards Subcommittee can step forward and do that to make sure that there is a regular schedule of the replenishment of supplies and making sure that the bathrooms are open and just making sure that the simple, basic hygiene needs of our high school family are being taken care of. So I'd like to make sure that we are able to get ongoing reports on progress. Those dispensers won't be in before the beginning of the school year. You know, can't even buy baby formula right now, so we know what it's like with everything else. But it will be done. But we also need to make sure that other supplies in those bathrooms are stocked. Paper towels and soap. Clean bathrooms. It's come up before. We already have an issue, and I think we need to put it on another agenda night to talk about the monitoring of the bathrooms for safety, for continuity, to make sure not only that everyone who uses the bathroom is safe, but also to poke your head in every period and make sure that, yep, there's paper towels. Oh, we need another roll of paper towels, whatever. Providing the sanitary items at the nurse's office has always been available, but it really is a problem, especially at the high school, because of the distance, just to go back and forth. If something that the students are amenable to as far as leaving supplies in a dean's office or at a location, I'm fine with that, but I would like student input into that because there are a lot of issues around, you know, asking for those supplies for students. Here at the Higgins, that may also be an issue, and I think that we should find out what the students think. And we should also make sure that we have, the money in the budget for these supplies all the time. Because one of the things over the past years, honestly, and Dr. Vidal, it was before your time, but when the budgets would be cut, there'd be no soap and there'd be no paper towels. And those are just simple needs, and we didn't even provide those. So I'm really, really proud of the students because they've found their voice. And I have materials for them, and I've been working with Ms. Prouty. I'm going to be going up so that the school committee knows, as the liaison with the Student Advisory Board, giving them the materials that a new organization, the Mass Association of Student Representatives, is going to work with students across the state. So we will be hearing a lot more from our students. And they've started off very well this year, and tonight's meeting is a very good one. So thank you.
Okay, any other comments? All right.
Great. Jackie and Ryan, thank you so much for everything you've done this year, and seeing your voice come out is really important to us. And Ms. Prouty, thank you for advising them. We really appreciate that. So we have one more student group to speak tonight. So thank you to our Student Advisory Council.
Great job, Jackie. Great job, Ryan. Thank you.
So tonight, we're fortunate to bring forth the Culture Club to come up and speak to us about something that's very important to them. And this is a really great opportunity for us to hear directly from students about an issue that they've been facing and how they've encountered it. I couldn't be more proud of this group and the work that they've done. So they have a mural that they'd like to present us with tonight. And to me, the art is amazing, but the meaning behind it is even more powerful. And so I don't want to take your words. I'd like to give them to you and give you the platform. So please, each of you, if you could introduce yourself, and then I have your presentation, and I'll let you take it away.
I'm Carissa Furtado. I'm the co-president of Culture Club.
I'm Jada Martinez, also co-president as well.
I'm Tallulah Payadani. I'm secretary of Culture Club.
So the title of our mural is Hope Blossoms from Groundbreaking Roots. And when you see the mural, it'll make sense. But
So we'll start off with our background. Peabody High Culture Club is a diverse group of students who strive for self-acceptance. Culture Club celebrates differences and encourages awareness and acceptance. We discuss and implement innovative ways to educate others within our school community in Peabody. Culture Club is a safe place for students who may be experiencing discrimination or bullying and need peers and adults for support and guidance in reaching solutions. We decided to create a mural to bring positivity and hope to our school, collaborate with each other, and spread awareness.
This is a quote that I said to really best describe our mural, and I said, end quote, what best describes our mural is that it is a way to express love, appreciation, and respect for the lives that could not be here today due to racial injustice. This project of ours has also been a healthy way of bonding and using what we know as a whole to collaborate. While we paint, we share our own individual stories. What we are doing is meaningful and symbolic. And for this project, I feel like it's really helped us minorities and really take a stand for the Black lives. You know, being in a very predominantly white area, if we're going to be honest, it's difficult for someone who looks like me and us, you know? Excuse me for stuttering, I'm a little bit nervous, but yeah, there's a lot of things that a lot of us don't talk about, and it's something that shouldn't have to be spoken on, but with this opportunity, I'm going to say that this mural has given us the opportunity to use art to express pain and make it something beautiful and really have a community. And I really want to give our mentors a round of applause because they did wonderful, really helping us put this together. And all I have to say is that this has been a really beautiful journey to be a part of a community that's very embracive and educate those who may not have that same, you know, source to look on or know as much because they don't have that educational background or have that source to really be reliant on. And I think that we did a wonderful job with this club to really educate people and be supportive towards all lives. So, thank you.
So the mural itself has 4 different components. The main component is the cherry blossom tree itself, which represents hope and positive change. And the individual flowers on the tree represent our hope for the future, and we have names of different figures, either within our school community, like past presidents of Culture Club, different students that have made positive change, or leaders nationally, globally, that we think are hope for what we can see in the future. And the butterflies have names of Black lives that were lost at the hand of injustices. And we want to honor their lives and make it seen and heard so that their death didn't just mean nothing, but that we can make change through it. And finally, we have the roots, which represents the historical figures that made great social changes. 2 of the names on the roots are actually right over there on the wall, which I noticed earlier, which I was like, made me happy. So those are the 4 main components.
And to begin the mural, we had to go through a planning stage. And during the planning stage, we were online due to COVID. So we only had online meetings. And we had to create a draft. And one of our mentors, Melissa Sylvia, she's a art teacher at the PVMHS. And she really helped us throughout the entire process. And she gave us a task to create this prototype that we were going to use. And so I decided to take charge and create this. And so this is what we've been using throughout our entire journey.
Here you have some pictures of the process. Once we went back into school full time, we were able to be very productive and started painting. As soon as we were able to push COVID aside, we went and took charge on our work, and it was a very fun process. And these are some of the photos here.
And these photos show the journey that the mural has been on and how it took over a year. It was long, hard work. And you can see us in the picture on the right, all working together while sharing stories about different things that happen in our day, things we've experienced, just really being able to relax. And I wasn't really a painter before this, but I can now paint a really good cherry blossom, and I'm really proud of that. And I found it very relaxing and something I never thought that I would enjoy as much as I did. And this is just another picture showing a close-up on the roots and the butterflies and flowers and the names. And
the biggest thing that we want to talk about is that we want more flowers and no more butterflies. That's the biggest piece I can say that we'll take from this. And as you can see, we have very big, important names: MLK, Rosa Parks, for the roots, for where it all started, and that's our pictures.
We just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to come here and speak and talk about our mural. And we're having an unveiling of the mural on June 8th, and everyone is invited to come see and celebrate with us at 6 p.m. at the high school, upper lobby. Be there.
Well, I want to thank each of you for your presence here today and for your voices, both here at this meeting and your voices at our school community has been very important. I'm excited. I've seen the pictures, seeing these pictures. It looks beautiful. It's definitely going to be a wonderful, thought-provoking addition to our high school. And I'm very much looking forward to the unveiling. I know we've been working with your mentors and advisors, and we have facilities department is going to be helping with the move, and very excited to have that as part of our city moving forward. So thank you to you and all the students of the Culture Club.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Mr. Olympio.
Thank you all for coming. It's a beautiful mural. I'm looking forward to seeing it in person, and really thank you for just what you do for the school community during the course of the year. I'm sure that your group is very helpful to a lot of our population. So really, it's really a plus to the community, and just thank you for all you do, and very thoughtful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olympio. Mr. Amico.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for being here. That's awesome. You should be very proud of yourselves. And you should definitely come back. If you came, is this the first time you've been here this year? I think so.
This year, yes.
Yeah, because you guys were here last year, I believe.
Mhm.
Okay, you guys should be here twice a year, or keep us updated. I say this all the time. Our phone numbers are listed. If you ever need anything, give us a call. Call the mayor's office. Peabody's a great community.
It is.
But, but it's not perfect. The United States is a great country, but it's not perfect, right? We have some work to do, and this is awesome, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amico. Mr. Hockman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What grade did you make?
I'm a senior, so I'd be graduating this year.
And we're both juniors.
Congratulations on graduating.
Thank you so much.
Good luck in the future academic career. sense of stuff today, not about the painting, but about your experience, that's causing me some concern.
Okay.
And I'm hoping we can perhaps start a conversation. We talked about being uncomfortable. We talked about relaxing as a painting. And I don't know if that's because of the culture at the high school or just in general, city people. But it's certainly something that dialogue that I'd like to start, if it hasn't started already. Because, we were talking about adding curriculum in high school, and in middle school, it's going to focus is the wrong word, so it's going to include really horrible times in our world. They cause a lot of pain to a lot of people because they're different.
Yes.
And I think that that's what we were talking about, is this basis for being uncomfortable or not being relaxed. So perhaps we can include these students in the culture club in that conversation, where we can address no one should feel uncomfortable with high school or anywhere else based on who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Whether that's your physical appearance or your gender identity or anything else.
Yeah. If I,
Thank you for coming today, and I'm looking forward to the day at the mural.
oh, of course. 6 o'clock.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ockman. Jada, did you want to?
Yes, to add on to that conversation, since we already started it, I feel like it's just something that ignorance is bliss. Not a lot of people, like I said, are educated on Black lives and the culture itself. And because of that, it causes certain situations where people don't really have that much understanding of where a small population of that school comes from. And because of that, we've made this space to have a community for that. And that's where the uncomfortable situations come in, when someone tells me, oh, I like your twist and their braids. Or when people use the wrong terms it's something that it puts, the group in an uncomfortable situation, because what do you say when your peers aren't educated on your cultural background or your school? Where does that leave you in that system? Where does it leave you to find a home and a place to be able to express your culture and your style? And I feel like Culture Club really did provide that for me and my peers, because we were able to educate those who didn't know, and we were also able to be ourselves and relax with pizza and paint. So, yeah.
I would also like to say that we would love to be included in that conversation and just contribute a student's point of view in things that not only I've experienced, but other students that all look different from each other. And I think we would love to be included in that.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you for your review. And not to take on your painting, we're working collaboration with the advisors. I don't know if you thought about the people like that who integrated the military in World War II, or Jackie Robinson with the program, or the 5 plaintiffs in Brown versus George Education. Those are people that had tremendous influence on our society and healing some of the awful things that created the predecessors and still exist. That would be provoke people to acquire through the law. We know a little bit about MLK, we know a little bit about that. A lot of great people out there in this country that have done wonderful things to assist with civil rights. I don't want to take over the control.
No, I definitely appreciate and thank you for sharing that, because it is involved in the school system too, and what we learned. How much are we involving for our students to really learn about those important people and include those who, are educated on those people who did a really good job of fighting those wounds that we currently have because of our ancestors and our ancestors' ancestors. So thank you for sharing that.
And just to speak a little bit more on that, one thing that we've done before is we've created slideshows that we've shown at advisory to educate on different subjects. So something we did this year is we did a slideshow about Indigenous Peoples Day and just bringing more information to that. And next year, we plan to focus more on those slideshows during different Heritage Appreciation Months to really bring more awareness to things that maybe aren't in the normal school curriculum, an advisory where all students will be able to see it.
And we're always open to suggestions. We always want this community at our school to grow, and we want Culture Club to expand upon Peabody, to just show our pride and show our dedication, and just, yeah, exactly. I'm sorry.
Make it a bigger community.
Yeah.
Get it so that all schools have a space that we have at Peabody High. And we'd like to also thank Miss Yana, because she also has brought Culture Club to the Higgins. And I think that that's a great milestone for our community and starting to make Culture Club bigger than, you know, just Peabody High.
Yeah.
So, anything else you guys have to share? No?
I did want to mention, we'll be presenting our budget, city budget, to the city council later in June, probably in about 3 weeks or so. And Dr. Vidal and I have been working, and we'll be presenting our city's first hiring of a diversity and equity coordinator that will be also working with us and the city, and I imagine will be involved in the Culture Club certainly. So I'm asking the city council to fund that position later in June, and it will be a position that's shared city and school. So we'll keep you updated on where we stand with that.
Yes,
So,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Swanson?
Through you. Appreciate you ladies coming and showing this. This is awesome work. Although I'm very happy that you have a place to gather, I'm sad that you have to have that. And I'm very proud of your mentors to be able to form that for you. It's I know it's hard for you, and I hope, as Mr. Hockman said, that we can make it better for you and help educate as well, so that others that come behind you. I think a big step, as you said, is starting at the Higgins level. The younger that people learn and are educated, hopefully it makes it better as they grow. They make better decisions. But you guys are doing a great work for yourselves and your community, so be very proud.
Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
Well said, Mr. Swanson. Mrs. Dunn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to commend you and thank you. I'll be honest, I had the privilege of following along at the beginning when the Culture Club was formulating their ideas and deciding to do the mural. And it was absolutely fascinating for me to see how a creation like that, an artistic creation like that, is actually made. I can't draw a straight line, I'm not kidding. So to see it and to hear how the teachers helped the students, everything. What colors would you like to use? What shade would you like to use? What technique would you use for this paint? How can you make those roots look real? I was in awe. So to see what we see now, and I can't wait to see the full, completed project, just to see that as it progressed was absolutely fascinating. I was so proud of our staff and so proud of the students and grateful that they let me follow along. I was just a fly on the wall, but they had such wonderful meetings where they discussed what they wanted to do and how they were going to do it. They talked about the research they were doing for not just the names, but the concepts of what they wanted to show in their art. And I will always remember that. I am in awe, and I want to thank you for letting me be a part of it, but thank you for doing this and for making something that people are going to look at for years down the road that will be as important as the portraits we have here. And you've done something very, very special, and you should be very proud of yourselves, and I can't wait for June 8th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Dunn.
Thank you so much. And great presentation, amazing art project, amazing mural. It's super powerful. There's some really powerful words in this presentation that you shared, and Three of them that I want to just highlight is awareness and acceptance are the first two. That's really what drives your club, and that's really important. And I think they're really powerful words, and it was very thoughtful to do that. And the most important word, which is sort of my vision for the district, is hope. You've talked a lot about that. It is my vision for the district, and you're bringing hope to our community. So I just want to thank you for all the work that you're doing. Your voice is important, and we have the privilege of being up here every couple weeks and having a microphone in front of us. And that's an honor and a privilege, but it comes with great responsibility. So for us to be able to turn that over and to amplify your voice is really important to all of us. And so, like Mr. Miko said, we would like you to come up a couple times a year. And Carissa, you have my email. You've emailed me a couple times. And so, but we want that open communication, and we want to amplify your voice so that you do feel more comfortable and that we can educate people and build that awareness and acceptance. So just thank you so much, and I hope to see you on the 8th, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you at some of the senior events as well. But we'll see you on the 8th, and we'll hope to hear from you much louder and much more clear in the coming weeks, months, and years. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If there's no objection, we'll just continue and complete the superintendent's report, then go back to the item number 4, continued business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's just two quick items on the superintendent's report. The first one is the summer foods program. So I just wanted to give a quick update. I met with the food service director and our school business manager today. We also spoke with Corey Jackson at Citizens Inn. So I am pleased to announce that we will be running the summer foods program. We will be overseeing the foods program that was previously run by Citizens Inn. It will be a 7-week program this year. It will provide a free grab-and-go meals for any child 18 years or younger in our community. There'll be 3 sites. We believe right now there'll be Higgins, McCarthy, and the downtown branch of the public library. Library has really been instrumental in this work. They were overseeing this prior to Citizens Inn even getting involved. And so Kate Merlin has been unbelievable with that. They will continue the program, and we'll also have 2 sites in the city. So there's a webinar on June 7th that our food service department will be attending, and we'll be providing the details on the specific locations, and I'll provide the committee with our funding sources and whatnot. But we are committed to this. I know this is something that the committee has been very much in support of, and I just wanted to bring it forward that we will be running it. It will be a 7-week program beginning on July 11th. And I know that there were some questions from the committee.
Thank you, Dr. Vidala. Any questions, Mr. Hockman?
Well, first, I want to thank Dr. Vidala for his hard work. There was a daunting email that went out last week or the week before about this summer food program, and I'm thankful and grateful for the work and time and commitment that Dr. Vidala put into giving us this report today. I'm thankful for all of the other people involved, Ms. Merlin, Mr. Jackson, our food service staff and leadership there, and I'm happy that we're taking this program over again. We haven't done it in, I don't know the last time, so I'm thankful that we're taking it over again. So I say all that with some pause for it being a 7-week program as opposed to beginning right after school gets out and running through when school begins, which is what I would hope this program grows into. We'll take baby steps, but the program itself should run. There shouldn't be a day that goes by that students or people under 18 don't have access to food if they can't obtain food on their own. So I am a little disappointed in that. While I'm grateful for everything else that's going on, I'm grateful that we're continuing to keep multiple sites because I think that aids and assists students who don't have transportation to be able to get lunch. I think you said, Dr. Vidala, that we're continuing as a grab and go. Yeah, which is a big factor. Prior to COVID, the summer lunch program was it was run by the library before Citizens Inn took over, and you actually had to go physically to the downtown library and eat your lunch there. So imagine a 12-year-old living, whether it be on the highway or on West Peabody or wherever, having to get there, first of all, and then stay there for, the 20 minutes that it takes to eat lunch. This way, students can come and go as they please. And I want to make it known that it's, the summer lunch program is available for anybody under the age of 18. You don't need to attend Peabody Public Schools in order to get a grab-and-go lunch, to show up at one of these sites. So anyway, thank you, Dr. Vidala.
Thank you, Mr. Hockman. And certainly we are committed to this. These are our kids, and we want to make sure that we are feeding them.
Mr. Miko, you wanted to weigh in?
Thank you to the chair. Dr. Vidal, thank you for putting this together and working with citizens in. Are we, do we need any volunteers? Are we fully staffed for this? If there's anything we can do, or if you need any volunteers or staff, please let us know. Keep us updated so we can help out in the program.
Absolutely. So we'll communicate that. Once we get the details on June 7th for our next school committee meeting, I can provide an update. The next regular meeting is on June 14th, so I can provide an update then as well. Okay. And I have two more slides. The last item is an update on the budget in terms of FY22, the revolving account. So there were some questions about transportation. So Mr. Fleming was nice enough to put together these two slides for us. So the first one is the transportation revolving account. So the beginning balance was about $99,000. We try to keep about $100,000 in this as a rainy day fund. So the revolving fund is used to supplement the transportation-related costs, such as contracted services, supplies, materials, and this year, fuel surcharges is something that we are experiencing. So the current fees for any rider K through 6 that lives greater than 2 miles away, or all students grades 7 through 12, is $325 per student with a family cap of $650. We do have, for students that receive free or reduced lunch, we do have scholarship opportunities. So our past practice was to maintain a fund balance of $100,000 in case there was a big purchase that we needed to do, or if there were major repairs. So that provides a safety net. So our revenue in FY22 from the fees were $317,000. And just to put it into perspective, our current FY22 transportation budget is just about $5 million. We are going to exceed that number this year. We have budgeted more for next year. So we have about a $5 million budget for all transportation, salaries, in-district transportation, special ed transportation, homeless transportation, athletics, all of that. So we are able to supplement that with the $300,000. We had $99,000 to begin with, our revenue of $317,000. $264,000 have been applied to contracted services. We had about $50,000 this year in fuel surcharges from Healy, which is part of the contract that we've worked with them. When the fuel goes up by a major increase, they are able to provide us with a fuel surcharge by month. And then we did purchase some supplies. There was an antenna that went down for our transportation department. We were able to utilize revolving funds. So we do estimate that we will leave $100,000 in this account for next year. Questions on the transportation revolving funds? I have one for athletics as well.
Mr. Hockman.
Not really a question, but can we also hold this for our next meeting? I know a member who's not able to be here tonight was interested in this information.
Yes, yep, I can absolutely share that with her as well. And then the final piece here is the athletics revolving. So we do try to keep a larger balance in the athletics revolving account because of some of the bigger purchases that we may have, scoreboard or something like that, when that comes about. So our beginning balance was $211,722. And so we use athletic revolving funds for game officials, salaries, supplies, police details, contracted services, and then capital improvements is really the big one. The current fees we have is $175 per season, or a $350 family cap. And then we also have other revenue sources such as gate receipts and things like that that can go into the athletic revolving fund. So our history was we try to keep about $200,000 in that. You may recall a number of items were put into when we had that major budget deficit the very first year that I came in around COVID. We put a number of items into the revolving account because it was sort of the rainy day fund and it was pouring at that time. This year we have put money back into the budget. So for example, our athletic revenues this year to date are $125,000 in fees. And just to put it in perspective, the athletic budget for FY22 is $1.4 million, which represented a $129,000 decrease. So we did see a decrease in our athletic account from the previous year, and so we were able to make that up with the revolving account. This year, I can say that we have seen an increase for FY23, and our plan is to create that 3-year cycle where athletic fees will go to uniforms for all new teams. We'll get uniforms. So all of our sports teams will get uniforms every 3 years. So Mr. Fleming is working with our athletic director to make sure that that happens and that our user fees are going to that. So our fund balance of $211,000, our revenue of $125,000. We spent $23,000 on game officials through the athletic revolving fund last year, $71,000 in contracted services. The majority of that was for our athletic field maintenance, $68,500 in athletic field maintenance, and then $42,000 in supplies and equipment for our teams, which is going to leave us with a balance of $200,000. And again, that balance will be for major purchases or capital improvements that we'd like to see in the athletic funds. I am pleased to say that we did put a significant amount of equipment lines and contracted services back into the appropriated budget so that we are able to use those revolving funds for those items that come up as the seasons go on. So I'll pause there if there's any questions.
Mrs. Dunn?
Thank you. I know that in the past, we had a presentation by some of the athletic booster groups, and there were expenses that they were paying for, and we wanted to make sure that they were not going to do that again, that their money was going to stay for their, their booster-focused activities, not, porta potties or athletic officials and things. Is that taken care of now with this budget?
Yes, that should be taken care of for this budget. They should put the requests in through the coaches, and the coaches will go directly to Mr. DeRoches. And so we do believe that we should be able to field all the equipment needs and uniform needs for teams moving forward, so that the boosters, because in the past boosters are paid for equipment and uniforms, right, and we want to make sure that all of our user fees are going for that directly to the kids, and then the boosters can supplement for things above and beyond what we should be providing.
Okay. Also, in years past, I'm talking with my hands here, in years past, we had, very similar to our curriculum plans on when things would be updated, we had one for athletic team uniforms and equipment. I think it may have fallen off the radar. Could you find out if we have anything in the works, and if not, if we could do that again, so that you're not trying to replace all of the uniforms every year, but it was a rotation, and I really don't remember what the year span was, but it made a lot of sense, and I think that could be very helpful too.
Yes, we are working on the uniform piece, so that we want to get on a 3-year rotation. So what we're doing is pricing out what it would cost to replace every new uniform, and then equally dividing it, because some teams are larger than others, some uniforms are more expensive than others. So dividing it over 3 equal years, so that everyone will get that rotation, and every student will have a new uniform at least once during their 4 years, and some kids twice. In addition to that, each season, the coaches fill out a form. They can work with their boosters club as well. They fill out a form for a request for the upcoming season of what they need, what their equipment needs are, if they need, any replacement equipment or any new equipment to be purchased. There's things that happen every year, such as equipment reconditioning for many of the sports. So that happens every year. But if there are new things, they request that each season, and it goes to the coaching staff. So Mr. DeRoches currently has that. The new thing that we want to do is really be clear about what the cycle is for uniform replacement, and we want to make sure we're doing that. And the other thing that I did want to add is the athletic weight room. The fitness center at the high school is currently being redone. That is an expense, that is a capital improvement that we're doing. We're hoping to have that completed over the summer.
Very good. Thank you.
One thing I did want to mention on that, because Dr. Vidala and Mr. Coach D and I have talked about this, and Mr. Amico has been spearheading this, but I know it's something all of us are concerned about. But I want to make sure that, and we will make sure that what boosters may have been paying for, have been paying for recently in terms of, game officials or busing or porta potties, that stuff, that can't happen. So that's got to come to us. I know that's something that Dr. Vidal has been working on, and we will collectively make sure that that doesn't happen. That's great news. I didn't know about it. I'm glad you mentioned it, Dr. Vidal, about the weight room, because that had fallen on some real hard times. And that is a project that's going to be going on this summer. We also are going to be purchasing for September, the start of the fall seasons, a huddle sports program. Some of you in sports will know what that is, but it's videoing all games that could be utilized for team use, but also for to get out to colleges and things of that nature. It's becoming a very popular and a tool for team use, but also again for recruiting efforts and helping our student athletes get their performances out to different colleges and things. So we're working to set that up as well. So all of our games would be, well, on the fields and in the gymnasium would be. So Coach D, Dr. Vidal, and I are working on that as well. So, Mrs. Dunn?
I'm really glad to hear you talk about that, about the filming, because you know what? That was so successful. Coach Ed Diswintowski did that, and his football players and baseball players ended up getting some of the most amazing appointments to college athletic teams. And I know that's a proven way of helping the teams to be recruited and to get them into good schools. So I'm thrilled to hear about that. And will they use the good press box to do those films?
The Sweet Lucis Osmo press box?
Yep.
I think so. Well, yeah, absolutely.
Good.
I don't know the exact locations where it's going to be yet, but that's important. But we've been fortunate. We have amazing student athletes, as all of you know.
We do.
And, Coach Niz was my coach. I can't tell you the number of athletes that went on to play because of him and things, and other coaches. So we want to give them the tools. It's becoming very popular. You could have a great game and get that video out to 100 coaches within 5 minutes. And, more and more that's becoming a tool that colleges and coaches and recruiters are using. So we want to make sure we have that. I know a couple of Merrimack Valley schools now have that, and we want to make sure that we have that for our students for the fall sports seasons and from there. So.
Back then, I think they had to put them on the VH tapes and mail them out. So
Yeah.
We'll have to have someone come in and see how this is done now, but that's great.
No, that was just a couple of buttons you press and it's off.
Off it goes.
And if you had a bad game, you can just erase it. Yep. Jackie, you didn't have any bad games. I know you didn't have any bad games. So, all right, great. Thank you. That's great information, Dr. Vidal. I know that's a continuing work in progress.
And so that concludes the superintendent's report. I know we went out of business, so continued business with the Welch School MSBA project for Ms. Dunn.
Yes, go to that item, item 4. Mrs. Dunn, anything to report? Welch School?
Yep, all good stuff. Tomorrow we have an OAC meeting, which is like an executive level meeting about some of the finer details on the project and the budgeting and everything. We did have our monthly Welch School Building Committee meeting last Thursday. The Building Committee voted to release for submission our 75% completion documents and figures, which will go into the MSBA. They're reviewing everything. And then the big news, you all got it in your email today. You're invited to the groundbreaking. It is officially June 6th at 10 a.m., and that should be a nice time for everyone. And we will be having a Welch School Building Committee. Possibly that meeting will be that same week on Thursday. I haven't got it confirmed yet, but I will get that information out to everyone. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Superintendent's evaluation, they're starting to come in. Once I've received everything, I'll put my report together and then report out. I'd like to leave that item on the agenda for our next meeting. Okay, public participation. Anyone in the audience that would like to speak today, please come forward. Please, Ms. Scopa.
Thank you, Mayor Betancourt. So first, I'd like to start off by emphasizing the fact that this is a personal statement. I'm not now speaking before you as a representative of the Peabody High School Student Council. And although I may reference some groups of students, I can only truly speak for myself and not on the behalf of others. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to all of the teachers and staff of Peabody Veterans Memorial High School that had an influence on my high school experience. I would like to specifically give my sincerest thanks to a handful of teachers. Of course, Mrs. Peabody, who has been the spearhead coordinator of this year's Student Voice, and others who have been my educational support system in a plethora of ways, including Mrs. Byrne, Mrs. Ryan, Ms. Manning, and Mr. Myers. Without them, I can confidently say that I would not be the person that I am today. While I do have many reasons to thank the staff of PVMHS, I cannot help but mention the many ways in which students like myself have been negatively impacted by the ongoings at Peabody High. I do this with the intention and hope for change. Obviously, as I mentioned before in the PVMHS Student Advisory Council report, there are many maintenance issues that need to be addressed. Although we are aware this building is pretty old and there are plans in place to build an entirely new one, there are going to be students attending classes in that building until these plans are executed. A safe and healthy environment for current students should be top priority until the next generation is able to move to a brand new building. Aside from the typical rundown building issues, there are a plethora of frustrations that radiate throughout the student body. Communication within the tiers of the building has recently been nothing short of dysfunctional. Decisions are being made at the last second with a minimal amount of transparency being used to explain the background of these decisions. Although this has been beyond frustrating, the reasoning for it is somewhat understood from perspective of many students and staff. Administration has changed almost every single year of my high school career, the newly appointed successors desperately trying to play catch up. The lack of this stability is the sole reasoning for my need to bring a statement here today. As the older sibling of future members of both the class of 2026 and of 2031, a sports captain passing down a leadership position, and maybe most importantly, simply a peer, leaving behind many teachers and students that I know and love, I asked for two simple things to be focused on when filling the position of principal at PVMHS: consistency and transparency. Although Principal Magno will not be returning in the fall, his consistently available listening ear for the student voice was beyond appreciated and helpful during the duration of his time. I hope to see that type of compassion for students return next school year. Transparency as far as simple explanations of decisions lessen frustrations of both students and staff as they hear about changes and additions to any school policies, schedules, or traditions. The lack of this has been a major concern. Both of these issues come with the growing relations of students and administration year after year, and that can only occur if administration remains the same for a number of consecutive years. There have been many issues, including the extremely outdated bell schedule of PVMHS, that have yet to be addressed because nobody's been around long enough to spend time on such a drastic change. The constant change in administrators leaves many students feeling like nobody's really in charge, causing them to consistently make irresponsible decisions and get away with them. The schedule leaves students feeling nothing short of exhausted, and the lack of consequential repetition has had a different negative impact on almost every student. I was the only student I also hope that as an outgoing senior, my words of concern are taken highly into consideration for the benefit of future Peabody Veterans Memorial High School graduates. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scopa. That was terrific. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak today that's present at the meeting? Seeing no one, do we have anybody that would like to speak online?
Seeing no one with their hand raised.
Okay, next item, written communications. We do have 3 written communications, and they all have been referenced earlier in our meeting. The letter from Marcus Vieira recognizing Trinity Cabrera, the letter from Student Council and the Student Advisory Council, and the petition from the Student Advisory Council regarding feminine hygiene products in the schools. Just move to receive all of those items. Motion made by Mrs. Dunn.
Motion to receive all 3.
All 3 items, seconded by Mr. Swanson. Unanimous vote to receive those items. Thank you. Subcommittee, Education Subcommittee. Mr. Miko?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Okay. Finance, Mr. Olympio?
Nothing new to report.
Okay. School Safety Subcommittee?
Nothing new to report, but I would imagine we'll meet soon.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olympio. Athletics and Wellness?
I
Mr.
don't-
Hockman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything to report, but I do have a question, and I don't mean to put anyone on the spot. If we don't have an answer, we can deal with this offline. I'm just wondering if there's any update on the lighting system at the baseball field up at the high school. I know last time we met 2 weeks ago, we were talking about some equipment that was ordered. I know most of the light bulbs were changed, but in doing so, I think the company that changed the light bulbs found some issues that they were waiting on parts for. Does anyone?
I do not have an update.
Okay,
I'll get one.
thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Sorry, but I have the opportunity to add to that. I know that PATV was trying to work with that project because they need to install a specific type of an electrical connector so that they can plug in their truck to be able to to video and broadcast the games. They were trying to coordinate it, and I'm not sure what stage that's at as well. So could you look into that when you're checking about the lighting? There's a whole nother additional issue of the electrical work itself, and I believe Park and Rec is involved. The electric light company was working on it with them, and I know that they were asking if we had any progress. It's kind of they're two separate projects, but it is interrelated. It's the same field and the same wiring.
Absolutely, I will do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Hockman, to add to that?
Yeah,
Or-
well, just to report out the wellness component, I wanted to recognize and thank a bunch of people that put together a distracted driver program at Peabody High School last Thursday. In particular, I wanted the Peabody Police Department, Fire Department, ambulance, Atlantic Ambulance, and a whole bunch of other people. I wanted to specifically single out Lieutenant Harkins from the Sergeant Harkins, excuse me.
Sergeant.
Next round, of the Peabody Police Department, firefighter Paul Silva from the Peabody Fire Department, and like I said, and stage one.
No, he's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant, see. I knew I had it wrong twice, 2 strikes, right? Stage one, drama club who were involved in the dramatization of the event, and Principal Magno for running it and putting it all together.
Thank you for bringing that forward, Mr. Hockman. That was good. Okay. Yes, Mr. Swanson.
Sorry. Through to Dr. Vidala. If you could pass along, again, the thank yous that Mr. Hockman put forward. That was a multi-day production. That was not just the hour we were on the school. The police department, the fire department, Atlantic Ambulance, stage one spent days in putting that together, and it was much appreciated. It was a great demonstration, and I hope that the students that were there took that to heart. It was very powerful. So again, something we haven't had in the previous years because of COVID. Thank you for bringing that back as well.
Thank you, Mr. Swanson. Okay. Parent and Student Advisory Boards. No, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Quality and Standards, Mrs. Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quality and Standards will be meeting between now and our next meeting, next school committee meeting, because we not only have a few things to review, but we also have some new policies that have come to us from MASC where we need to update our policy manual, the concerning Title IX, bullying, sexual harassment, it's the whole update of policy. So, looking at the calendar, after so many of the activities that we participate in will be completed within the next 2 weeks, we might have some free time. So I'm going to take it up and put a meeting on one night, and we'll address some of those and have them ready for the next meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Parent and Student Advisory Boards, anything to report?
Actually, I alluded to some of it during the Student Advisory Board's presentation, but I have materials for the students from the recent presentation on student leadership. They're great materials. There is a new group that has been started called the Mass Association of Student Representatives, and they have done surveys across the state among their fellow high school leadership. It's a great organization. I think it will really help our students, and I'm going to be giving those to Mrs. Prouty and to Mr. Magno and the students, and give them a little bit of background on what's going on and what they can look forward to, and a lot of contact information for them to be able to utilize as they go into the next school year.
Thank you, Mrs. Dunn. Okay, building and grounds.
Nothing to report. Excuse me, Mr. Amico. Am I allowed to I can't even Lieutenant Sergeant Amico.
Thank you, Dr. Hockman, and Doctor. If I could, through the chair, June is Pride Month, and I think last year we flew the Pride flag at Peabody Veterans Memorial High School. I was hoping in the form of a motion if we can do that again.
Second.
Absolutely, and on the motion, we are having our ceremony at City Hall, Juneteenth flag raising. Juneteenth flag raising actually is going to be on June 23rd, and we'll also be setting up a ceremony to raise the Pride flag as well. I thought I had that date. I don't have that date yet. But motion was made by Mr. Amico, seconded by Mrs. Dunn. All in favor? Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Dunn.
One suggestion, though, if we wait at the schools to hang the flag at June 23rd, schools out, I think the 22nd. I know the city date is the 23rd.
That's a separate date. We'll be doing one earlier for the Pride flag raising. But I think go ahead with your point. Yeah.
No, but I was just going to say, Mr. Amico, I'm sure you wanted it for the month of June. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Amico, for bringing that up. And I know it's too late for this year, but for future years, can we order the more inclusive Pride flag? That not the there's a newer version of the flag than what's hanging at the high school, and perhaps we should order one to hang in the lobby of the high school. But certainly moving forward, have those hung on the flagpoles.
Thank you. I think we have it at that flag at City Hall, but let me check on that too. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Special Education Parent Advisory Board, Mr. Olympio?
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. City Council Legislative Delegation? Mrs. Carpenter, she had nothing to report at this time. And Ad Hoc Redistricting Subcommittee, Mr.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Okay. Our next meeting, let me make sure I have the right date here. What's that? June 14th, Flag Day. Tuesday, June 14th will be our next regular meeting. Items for that agenda will be handled in the regular course of business. Please submit those requests. Good meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, Mrs. Dunn, real quick.
I just want to say thank you. I think this was one of the best meetings we've had in a long time, and I think it was because we had the students.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.